From the bustling streets of Athens and the historic port of Hydra, to the beaches of Zakynthos and the villages of Kythira, our journey over the coming weeks spans many of the Ionian Islands. Some well known, others that few ever get to visit. But before heading off, you probably want to know a little bit about me. My story starts as a boy growing up in the inner suburbs of Sydney. Like a lot of Greeks early last century, my parents moved overseas to find a better life abroad. They arrived with very little and worked extremely hard to give my sisters and I a loving upbringing. They also made me believe that if I too worked hard enough, I could achieve anything. 54 years later, I've built a successful business, and that has enabled me to do things I once only dreamed of. One of those dreams was to step foot on all 227 inhabited Greek islands, and I'm going to take a big chunk out of that in this first series. We've travelled from Athens to Epidavros, Kythira, Spetses, Nafplion and Monemvasia, with plenty of stops throughout the journey. It's been an incredible adventure with surprises around every corner, not to mention the countless wonderful people we've met along the way. We've delved into the history, culture and food of Greece, unearthing many gems during our exploration. Both above and below the water, there have been fascinating things to discover, including wildlife and ancient archaeology. In this episode, I'm digging deeper into my family history as I explore more of Kythira. My parents moved from here to Australia. However, I have a tangible connection to the place that I can't ignore. It now feels like a second home, but I'm still far from being considered a local. Every time I return, I discover new and fascinating things, and the places I've seen before have usually evolved a little. So no matter how familiar I am with Kythira, there are always a few surprises. Heading inland from the beautiful port of Yakofti, you get a sense of what Kythira is all about. There are no traffic lights or roundabouts. It feels like time has stood still for the last 50 years. On the road, you only have to contend with a goat or two. You know, the traffic's bad enough in Kythira, even though it's a small island, but these goats don't make it much easier, do they? Look at this. They own the joint, so we've got to let them through. Off you go, off you go, off you go. He's checking you out. You want to have a look? Oh, he's looking at me with those horns. Greeks are well known for loving their goats, some more than others. It's a bit like cows in India, but the only difference is we drink their milk and eat the meat. Off you go, off you go. Sorry about the traffic. You know, my cousin owns these goats. I've got to talk to him about doing this a bit better because, you know, summer, people want to get to the beach. Look what he's doing to it. My cousin and his family regularly come out here to tend to their herd. They don't use these goats for any sort of trade. They're basically used to put a stamp on their land. You know the saying, possession is 9/10 of the law? Well, a herd of goats is essentially a Greek title deed.
Okay, Peter, so this is the church. This is Agios Charalambos, and this is the town of Yerakitanika.
Yes, I know it well. This is the tiny village of Yerakitanika. It's where my family came from, and in fact, it was our family name up until the 19th century. There were so many people with the surname Yerakitis that nicknames were given out. Ours was Maneas, which we ended up adopting.
2 turns.
Yep, 2 turns, and let me...
Kaylee's a close family friend. We grew up together, living only a few suburbs apart. She spent many years studying Kythira, specifically its family genealogies and Kythira's peculiar history. This current journey to Kythira began 12 months ago, when I asked Kaylee to research my family genealogy. Here, back in Sydney, she painstakingly went through all the records back to the 15th century. That's 600 years of paperwork.
Is that your 5 times great-grandfather, Theodoro Yerakiti, was the person who built the church Agios Charalambos in Yerakitanika.
How many generations back is that?
So from yourself, 5.
7.
7. Sorry, 7.
There's so many generations,
7. 7 generations back.
So when did he build the church?
Well, from personal information that was provided to us from your family, it indicates that he built it around about 1767. So the first time we're finding that church in the Venetian censuses, which relates to that, is in the 1772 census. And you can see here, it mentions Parochia di San Charalambos a Yerakitanika. And there's your family there. So that's Theodoro, this person here, with his wife. He's the son of Manoli, so that was his father, and with his creatures, his wife and his children.
And what's amazing is that church, after 400 years, is still standing. So my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was a builder, and that building's still standing. My client should know that.
This research that Kaylee and others undertook didn't only involve reading Greek, Venetian and Ottoman records, but the interpretation of various languages and the peculiar calligraphies. Many of these records were in very poor condition and are currently being digitised. Amazingly, Kythira and Corfu are the only two Greek islands that have records dating back to the 14th century. So we're incredibly lucky to be able to map my family history to such an early time.
And I think, you know, this is 300 years old, and what my grandfather or great-great-great-grandfather would have had to go through to build this and get someone to do all this work 300 years ago. It's impressive that it's still standing, you know.
And impressive that we can still see the frescoes.
The legend that my father tells me is that Theodoros, my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, built this because he went to a church just further down from Yerakitanika, and Yerakitanika is only 100 metres long, and they asked him to leave because he wasn't from that part of the town.
Oh, gee whiz.
So he was offended, and as a result, he built this church.
Wow.
And it's still standing today, so...
There you go. Determination. Reminds me of you.
It's the oldest thing that really links to me at the moment, and it has a special spot right here. Wow.
As people living on this earth, our time is short. We come and go, and in many instances, are soon forgotten. But when I touch these walls, like a distant relative of mine once did, it gives me a sense of pride. It's something tangible I can hold on to, that can't be taken away from me. This is his legacy and keeps his memory alive.
What you've done for me with the genealogy and coming in here and getting accurate dates on when this was built, it's really all connected now. You know, I feel like there's a bit more depth in my history now. Thank you very much, darling.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
No
We
worries.
better go, eh?
Yeah, let's go. Oh, the lights.
And we better take the key back to the priest.
Yes, that's right.
A short drive from my family's village is the town of Potamos. It's the biggest settlement on the island and acts as the business centre. It sits in the middle of Kythira and is essentially the main tourist hub. Looking at the place now, you would think it's a busy town, but that's only during the summer months. In winter, there's only around 4,000 people living on this entire island. But when the weather warms up, the population swells to over 20,000. The architecture in Potamos has changed very little since I first visited 44 years ago. The main difference is the amount of visitors. Many of those that come here are Greek and have summer homes on the island. Now, if you're of Kythirian descent, everywhere you go in Kythira, there will be a person, shop, or something that connects you.
It's my second cousin's shop. Let's go inside.
This is the general store that has stayed in this family since 1945. If my parents didn't emigrate to Australia, I'd probably be running a similar establishment or herding goats. It's strange how things work out.
This is an awesome store. Hasn't changed in 40 years. You can buy everything here. I feel like I'm, I don't know, stuck in a time warp.
This shop is awesome. If you can't find what you need here, then you won't find it anywhere on the island. A short stroll away in a side street, I came across another cousin's store. Unfortunately though, it hadn't survived the century.
I walk around Potamo, I see my cousins, I see shops from my cousins, and here's a shop that brings back really special memories, but like I've aged, it's aged as well. It's now derelict. This shop only opened on Sundays with big pots of goat and beef and lamb. And people would line up here. It was the only shop here that sold food on a Sunday. Only on a Sunday. The food was fantastic, but it's gone now. And
Time has a way of taking things away from you. This place was simple yet wholesome. I got a bit emotional because it holds a lot of fond memories for me, and it's something I'll never get back again.
Man, they're using it as a car park.
The fabric of society is founded on history. The important people that came before us and significant moments in time each laid the foundations for the world we live in today. In this case, I was lucky enough to witness the unveiling of a plaque that commemorates Australian soldiers born in Kythira that fought for Australia in the World Wars. Setting in stone such powerful and sometimes painful memories is an important thing to do. It reminds us of the sacrifices others have made and of the mistakes of the past. Through the perseverance of people like Yerakitanika, who gives his time to research and uphold history, future generations will be able to better understand their past and hopefully be thankful for what they have.
And for that he was awarded the British Empire Medal, and I think that's something that should be known. And also the 200 Australians of Kythirian heritage who have served Australia in Gallipoli, in Western France, in Greece, through the Pacific, in all the major conflicts.
Watching these young people at the front of the crowd confirmed to me that Nick's efforts are not in vain. And I was proud to see that this record of history was being undertaken on my tiny little island of Kythira. We left the Akofti for the fishing village of Avlemonas. Once again, I have a number of cousins that live here. Through the centuries, we've sown our seeds all around the area, and there aren't too many places I don't have a relative. Don't worry though. Like me, they find husbands and wives from outside the island. What I love about Avlemonas are the secluded coves with their beautiful swimming holes. It's not a place many tourists know about. Folks you find here are either locals, descendants of locals, or Greeks that have met a local and were told about how great a spot it is. Right now it's the height of the tourist season, and yet you can easily find a beach or alcove all for yourself. Even if there are one or two others splashing around, everyone is really welcoming and happy to chat. It's well worth befriending a local. That way you'll get the inside info on the best spots to check out. Then there's the nearby taverns and cafes, where there's always an empty table you can while away the afternoon, sipping a coffee, eating fresh seafood, and watching the world go by. Then, once your food is settled, it's back into the water to cool off before the next meal. Man, I love Greece. Now, I'm all for a relaxing swim, but sometimes I like to get the heart rate up and do things a little more exciting.
I'm going to go out to the right. Tell me when. Oh, you know what? It's taking me out to the left. I'm going to go out to the left.
Wake surfing behind big motor yachts has become a bit of a sport, but that's way too dangerous for me. So I thought I might give it a go with a wakeboard and a tow line. After meticulous safety checks and procedures, we gave it a shot. Looking at it now, it seems a little extreme. A 110-tonne vessel towing a 110-kilo nutcase. Now, to be honest, the captain wanted to test the engines after doing some servicing, so I figured instead of letting the fuel go to waste, we should do something a little different, and boy was it fun.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
On shore, I noticed someone working on the rocks. He was wearing full overalls in this searing heat, toiling for hours on end. Curiosity got the better of me, and I went across to find out what he was doing. His name was Minas, and as it turns out, we're related.
Αυτό είναι αλάτι. Τι κάνεις τώρα, βάνεις νερό.
Έχει γίνει το πρώτο αλάτι.
Ναι, so he's already put some down.
Αυτό το πρώτο αλάτι,
Ναι.
το ρίχνω επιπλέον νερό θαλασσινό,
Ναι.
βλέπεις με το μηχανάκι αυτό, και το αφήνω για περίπου 15 μέρες, ούτως ώστε να κάνει το αλάτι πλέον. Και είναι δυνατότερο και καλύτερο.
These rocks, ποιανού είναι, who owns these rocks?
Είναι των Kythiρίων. Όταν παραδόθηκαν τα κύθυρα από τους Άγγλους στην Ελλάδα, υπήρχε όρος που λέει το έδαφος ανήκει στους Kythiríους. Οποιαδήποτε εκμετάλλευση και να γίνει, τα χρήματα πάνε στο κοινό ταμείο που λέγεται εγχώρια περιουσία.
So basically, this land where the rocks are is owned by all Kythirians, and if you harvest the salt, if you're doing the work to harvest the salt, that salt is yours. If someone else comes to get it, if you've been harvesting it, they're stealing from you. So you've got to do your own, basically, but anybody can come here and do it. Τι είναι αυτά, εργαλεία, τι ωραία πράγματα. Look at these tools.
Αυτή για τα μακαρόνια και έχουμε κάνει ενίσχυση εδώ.
This is for spaghetti, but he's changed it.
Έχουμε πάρει το κουβά από μπογιά, τον έχουν καθαρίσει.
So this is a bucket that he used for paint. And now he's put some holes in the bottom of it, and you'll see why. Έλα.
Παλιά τα κάνανε με καλάθια,
έτσι. Να κάνω εγώ τη δουλειά.
Όχι, θα σου δείξω πρώτα.
He's got to show me first.
Ναι, ναι. Εντάξει, για να...
Θες να βαστάω εγώ?
Όχι. Για να δούμε αν είναι καθαρό και κάτω, κάνουμε αυτό το πράγμα.
We've got to check if it's clean. So he turns it over, because if it's got crap in it, he doesn't use it. He turns it over, that's clean. So that's good salt.
Όχι βαθιά, βλέπεις εδώ. Πάμε
so you don't go too deep.
Μπράβο. Βάλτε στο χέρι του πάνω.
Oh yeah, the gold! Hey!
Το αλάτι αυτό είναι συνδυασμός αέρα και ήλιο, έτσι.
This is air and sun. That's how it's happened. This is fantastic. Because we don't want to put it too deep.
Να παίρνεις στρώσεις τώρα.
Καλό, έτσι.
Βεβαίως.
This is how people have gathered salt for centuries. It's incredibly basic and provides a natural product that tastes amazing. I love the simplicity of it and the idea that a similar technique would have been used in ancient times. Minas lives just up the road and invited us to his house to see the final stage in the process, the drying.
Ωραίο το σπιτάκι σου εδώ, πολύ ωραία,
Πιάσε από να βάλουμε το αλάτι.
Fantastic.
Να βάλουμε το αλάτι το καινούριο. Πρώτα
από εδώ.
Ναι. Και πάμε, τράβηξε με προς τα και μένα έτσι.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Και τώρα θα ρίξουμε το αλάτι το που φέραμε.
Το καινούριο, ναι. This is the stuff that we just pulled out. Όπα.
Και όπως βλέπουμε, αρχινάει.
Yeah, it's getting wet, yeah, you can see.
Μένει κάποιο από εδώ. Μέχρι να μην μένει σχεδόν καθόλου.
So what we're saying, while the salt is touching your hands, it's not dry enough. As soon as the salt leaves your hand,
Αυτή είναι η φλίδα, τη λένε.
as soon as the salt leaves your hand when you're moving it around, that means it's dry enough. Pretty simple. You don't have to be a physicist for this. I can see all the organic people at home, like my wife. They love this stuff. So do I, actually. Λοιπόν, μπορώ να αγοράσω λίγο αλάτι από σένα?
Όχι να αγοράσεις, θα πάρεις για καλό.
Είσαι κύριος, το ξέρεις. I asked him if I could buy some and he said, I'm going to give you some.
Είμαστε τσιριγότες.
That's it.
Είμαστε τσιριγότες.
You're a legend. You're a legend. We're Kythirian, so he's got to give it to me, you know?
Spending time with Minas was an unplanned surprise. Watching him work and seeing where he lived really put life into perspective. From an age-old technique for salt collection to an ancient seaside ruin, I met with another local, Alexi, who apart from owning a cafe, studied archaeology, so knows plenty about the fort in his backyard.
In England. Archaeology in England. Fantastic.
Στοντάρα.
So that's why your English is pretty good.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. Better than my Greek anyway.
So Panayoti, this is the entrance to the fortress for the time being, because the main entrance of the castle is closed now, because the Greek state is trying to rebuild the fortress.
Okay.
It's going to try to find the money, but you know, it's difficult times for that.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Let's go in. Wow, Alexi. It's not really a big fort.
It's not really a big fort, but where we are standing here was a two-story tower, and this is where they lived, this is where they had their gunpowder, and they were watching the area 360 degrees.
Right.
There is also a small outpost in Agios Georgis, at the mountain at the back, and another one with a garrison of 2 people at the small harbor of Avlemonas and they all communicated with each other with fire signals. Whenever the outpost of Agios Georgios was seeing the enemy fleet, they were lighting up torches and fires, and they were signaling to the garrison here and the garrison at the other harbour.
Now, when you say enemy fleet,
the Ottoman fleet.
The Ottoman fleet. So, is that why this was built?
Exactly.
Right. So
exactly after the sacking of by Barbarossa the Paliochora city, which was the medieval capital of Kythira.
Right. So they were sacked, and then they built all these emplacements.
Exactly.
The Venetians.
The Venetians.
Wow.
Exactly.
Time and Mother Nature have taken their toll on the site, but what remains tells the story of what happened here. For most, it was a period of turmoil and fear. Life under Venetian rule was varied. Many islands suffered from high taxes or constant pirate attacks, while others prospered thanks to improved trade. It was very different under the Ottomans. The Turkish had little respect for the people or culture of Greece and imposed their ways on the populace through fear and oppression.
I'm wondering how it would have felt for these young 10 men that were in this fort to be sitting here looking through that hole at other ships with these cannons. They would have been very scared.
They would have been very scared because this is a small fort, as we said, and it was quite easy to be sacked.
Yes, yes.
There are certain stories that this fort has been sacked by pirates, especially during the late times of the Venetian Empire.
Is that right?
Late 18th century. So there is a story that was sacked by pirates from money.
From money?
Greek pirates from money.
Greek pirates? Mm-hmm. So 16th, 17th, 18th century it was used in World War II.
Exactly.
Well, they got good value out of this fort, didn't they? Great value.
Just inland from the sea, hidden in a valley, lies a village with a tragic story.
Behind me is Paliochora. Paliochora meaning old town in Greek. My mother brought me here when I was 10, and my father 10 years later. Just didn't understand why they brought me here. In subsequent visits and a little bit of reading, I started to develop an understanding of why they brought me here and why their parents and their parents' parents brought them here. If you look at the castle, you'll see it's hidden from the sea and it's well fortified. This is a result of fear of these families from piracy and the devastation of war. And that's why my parents kept bringing me back. Let's go and have a look at it. Funny thing about Paliochora is it's not unique to Kythira. We're talking about a time when pirates ruled the Mediterranean in this region. And it happened everywhere. People had to risk their lives to build this sort of stuff just to save their families. You can see the work that goes into building this stuff. They would have had to quarry the mountain itself. Surely people would have died just building this place.
The Byzantine capital of Paliochora was once home to some 800 people. There were 15 churches and 20 priests. It was positioned on a remote cliffside, perched in a manner that allowed them to see incoming pirates without being seen themselves. For several hundred years, the capital provided the camouflage and security that it was built for, until one fateful moment in the island's history.
This is where it all happened. This is probably where the war was, their second line of defence. Their first line of defence was being hidden from the sea. The siege happened here. This was the beginning of the end. Once they got to here, the people of Paliochora, they were cut off. They had no chance.
The ruins are a testament to those that lived here. It's a silent monument to a bloody past, and a story that can be told in similar forms in villages and towns across Greece that were invaded by the Turks.
Paliochora, or Agios Dimitrios, as it was known at this time, Saint Dimitri, was built 12th century AD. These people lived in fear. They just kept building churches. I've counted 12 and I haven't seen them all, and you can see why I haven't. But it all came to an end in 1537 when the Turkish Ottoman pirate Barbarossa, who later became an admiral, sacked the whole island. He laid siege at the front here, killed everybody. Those he didn't kill, he took as slaves and sold off. That was the end of Paliochora. It was never inhabited again.
This remote castle city has no gates or wardens. It's a great place to freely walk through and see ancient architecture in a location with spectacular views. There are even remains of beautiful Byzantine wall paintings and frescoes. But perhaps the most moving thing is its history. You could say that it's a dark and tragic one. However, I like to think that, for the most part, it would have been peaceful. I can imagine people walking through the narrow lanes, children playing in the alleys, and traders selling their wares in the square. Life here may have been removed from the outside world, but it would have been no different to most other towns in Greece. Ruins like this old church with its remnant paintings create an image of people that lived a life of faith, toil and service. The age of this work is unknown. However, the site was abandoned in the 16th century, so we know they're older than that.
This is one of the Byzantine churches within Paliochora. And I love it because you see all the architecture, the stone, the vaulted ceilings, which are the kamares, which was typical for houses of the time as well, and these beautiful arches, all that are in the same condition as they were when it was first built 700 years ago. What's more impressive is they built on the edge of a cliff, a 250-metre drop. These were my forefathers, and I'm just so impressed with their capability. They were farmers. They were farmers, they were builders, and they were soldiers.
Executing locals one by one until they gave up the secret location. Barbarossa was led to the city from its only way in, a path faced by a large stone wall. There they laid siege until penetrating the defences and murdering the city's inhabitants. Legend has it that 80 people hid under the floor of a church in silence, hoping they could wait out the attack and emerge once the invaders had looted the city. However, the agonising silence was broken with the cries of a baby. The mother frantically tried to silence it, but couldn't. So the father, in a moment of desperation, and with 80 lives at stake, handed her a knife and gave a look that suggested only one fateful instruction. As the mother took the knife and was about to silence the cries, a group of elders stopped her. One spoke quietly, saying that better we die than live with such a memory. Having heard the baby, moments later the invaders arrived, and the hiding townsfolk were all massacred. After that fateful day, Paliochora was never inhabited again.
Kyriako, thanks for bringing me to the markets today. You always do the shopping and...
Είχα καλό βοηθό σήμερα. Πώς θα τα κουβάλαγα όλα.
I love the Potamo markets on Sundays. I miss it from my little boy. Τι θα αγοράσουμε σήμερα?
Βρίσκεις πράγματα που δεν μπορεί να τα βρεις στο σούπερ μάρκετ. Δηλαδή βιολογικά και πράγματα που είναι πραγματικά. Ναι, organic.
You know a market is good if it's where the locals do their shopping. This isn't one of those tourist setups. It's as authentic as it gets. There's plenty of colourful people, great food and bargains to be had. The best stuff is the local produce.
You've got to be careful here because there's local stuff and there's stuff that comes from Peloponneso that's not organic. Kyriako's got the right eye. He's the right eye. Έτσι, bravo.
Εντάξει, μετά από τόσα χρόνια έχω την εμπειρία να...
After years and years and years, you have to.
Έτσι. Όλο αυτό τέτοιο.
Βιολογικό ντομάτα.
Μυρίζει ντομάτα.
Πολύ γλυκό, very sweet.
There's something about Greek tomatoes. I might be biased, but they just seem to taste so much sweeter and are way more aromatic than anywhere else.
These are awesome, mate. These are fantastic. The greens, τα βράζεις έτσι. He boils them, olive oil and lemon, fantastic. Έλα.
While I went around the markets trying everything I could get my lips around, Kyriako was busy stocking up with fresh food. He goes through this process at every port we stop at. You'd think the last thing he'd enjoy is me tagging along and asking a million questions. But he loves sharing his knowledge and passion for food. Plus, the extra set of hands was welcomed.
Και αγκούρια. Να πάρω αγκούρια.
Όχι από εδώ δεν το βλέπω. Θα βρούμε κάπου πιο.
Καροτάκια.
Τα καροτάκια είδα.
Καροτάκια.
Αυτά είναι μικράκια, baby, έτσι. Αυτό εδώ.
Πού πάμε τώρα?
Πάμε να βρούμε και κάνα αγκουράκι για τη σαλάτα μας. Και ήμουν άστον τέτοιο. Θα δούμε εδώ γύρω-γύρω, θα δούμε.
Το κυρικάμπα.
Αυτά εδώ είναι υπαίθρια.
Καλά.
Αυτά είναι υπαίθρια. Αυτά εκεί δεν είναι. Απλά αυτό εδώ είναι το τέτοιο που δεν έχει καμία σχέση με τα αγκούρια τα ήρεμα. Βλέπετε που έχουν αγκυλώνει.
Ναι. Because it's got needles on it, he knows it's local and it's fresh. Where the ones behind us, not local. Ναι.
The search for ingredients continued, but time was of the essence. The afternoon's meal is a special one that takes a lot of preparation. I asked Kythira to cook something my mum used to make. It's my favourite Greek dish, and while it might take a while to prepare, it's well worth the wait.
Να βάλουμε πρώτα
στο ταψί. We put our fresh frozen okra.
Και να τις ρίξουμε λίγο ξύδι.
And a little bit of vinegar on top. Oh yeah. And the reason we're doing this, γιατί το κάνουμε αυτό?
Έχουν μια γλίτσα η μπάμια και αυτό και θα τη βγάλει και θα τη στεγνώσει στο φούρνο, θα δείτε.
So the reason that Kyriako puts the vinegar on top is because the okra has a natural slime, and what's going to happen is it's going to take the slime out, and it's also going to dry up the okra. Because many times people make okra and it's too slimy and it pulls apart. This guy, you're a legend. I've had this before. It's awesome. I can't wait. And he puts it in the oven. Τώρα τι κάνουμε εδώ?
150 βαθμούς.
150 degrees. Για πόσο καιρό?
Να στεγνώσουν για μία ώρα.
1 hour just to dry up. Τι άλλο?
Και το κοτόπουλο, επειδή είναι μπούτι, θα το ψήσουμε λίγο και θα το βάλουμε από πάνω μετά. Θα βάλουμε λίγο πιπεράκι.
So because it's chicken leg, we've got to put it in the oven now to cook because it takes a while to cook. But if we're doing breast, άμα κάναμε στήθος, we would have put it straight in later on.
Για να μην στεγνώσει, αλλά αυτό επειδή είναι λίγο πιο σκληρό, θα βάλουμε λίγο αλατάκι.
Λίγο αλατάκι, πολύ είναι, ναι.
Όχι, εντάξει. Λίγο έτσι και θα το βάλουμε και αυτό μέσα. Και αυτή είναι η πρώτη διαδικασία.
Χωρίς λάδι.
Τίποτα, αφού έχει.
No olive oil, no nothing.
Λίπος.
It's got its own fat, so it's okay.
Και αυτό το ίδιο μαζί με το ίδιο.
Straight in there for the same amount of time.
To start the salsa, we add 2 cups of olive oil, onions, shallots, and the baby carrots we got from the markets. They'll get lightly sautéed, not browned, for around 5 minutes. Next, we add the tomatoes, also from Potamu markets. You can't get any fresher than that.
Ειδικά αυτή την εποχή.
It's the season for tomato too.
A little salt and pepper to taste, some parsley, and a sprinkle of sugar to complete the job. Kyriako insists on adding sugar to fresh tomatoes, as it brings out the flavour and reduces the acidity. The key is not to overcook it, because from here it goes into the oven for an hour. After 30 minutes, give the okra a stir, and then pop them back in for another half hour. The same goes for the chicken. The next step in the process is bringing it all together.
Λίγο αλατάκι, a little bit of salt. That's not a little bit of salt, but anyway. Okay. But look at the chicken, it looks nice, it's ready to brown, it's about there, isn't it? And what do? We bring our little emulsion here that we...
Την σάλτσα που είχαμε φτιάξει.
The salsa.
Θα ρίξουμε από πάνω.
Right, ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh, that looks good. Just have a look at the faces of our crew over there. They are salivating.
Το πλένουμε από πάνω.
And so we spread it over the okra to make sure that it's evenly distributed, like a uniformly distributed load.
Ναι, τέλος.
For those engineers out there.
Κότα από πάνω.
And then he put the chicken on top.
Γι' αυτό θέλουμε γεύση από κότα. Ναι. Το ζουμί θα το ρίξουμε μέσα από πάνω.
So there is the juice of the chicken that's come out in the cooking, and he said if we want to make sure we get the value of the chicken into the stock of the chicken into the okra, we just pour it all over. This looks good. Και αυτό γίνεται με χωρίς, άμα θέλεις, με χωρίς κρέας, έτσι.
Και χωρίς κρέας, ναι.
So this could be a vegetarian dish. You don't need the chicken, and this is done with chicken breast. Obviously, we love the chicken breast.
Ναι, ναι. Δεν έχει τόσο γεύση το chicken breast όσο έχει το κοτόπουλο, γι' αυτό το μπούτι.
He prefers the leg to the chicken breast because it's tasty. Is that right?
Βγάζει περισσότερη...
Και τι θα κάνουμε τώρα?
Έτοιμο είναι. Τώρα θα το φουρνίσουμε.
Και το κουνήσουμε και το βάλουμε πάλι μέσα.
Το φουρνίσουμε μέσα. Για μια ώρα.
Για μια. So this now goes back in the oven for an hour. How easy is this?
Ναι, είναι πολύ εύκολο.
It's so easy, you just got to take Kyriako home with you. Okay, it's been an hour since we put it in. Actually, 2 hours and 10 minutes since we first started.
Yes.
Kyriako, έτοιμο?
Ναι.
It's ready. Let's go. Let's see what it's like. I have my fork and I have my glass of rosé. It's supposed to have white wine, but I got no idea. All right. Ooh, φαίνεται ωραίο. Ζεστό έτσι. Now look at this. Look at the bamia. It hasn't, the okra hasn't split apart. That's the key. Η μάνα μου δεν το έκανε έτσι. Εσύ το κάνεις καλύτερα από τη μάνα μου. Thank you very much. It does it better than my mother.
Δεν έχει λιώσει.
Δεν έχει λιώσει. Oh. Fantastic.
Να είστε καλά και εγώ.
Αλλά, ξέρεις τι κάνουμε. Θα ρωτήσουμε το καπετάνιο. We're gonna get the captain's opinion. Καπετάνιε, έλα να δοκιμάσεις. Πάρε ένα πυρούνι. Να μας πεις. Tell us what you think.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Oh, ωραία.
Δεν ήθελε άλλο βούτυρο.
So there you have it, Bumies or okra with chicken drumsticks. This can easily be a beef, lamb, or even a vegetarian dish. Any way you make it, Bumies is one of the best dishes you will ever taste. And if you're listening up there, Mum, I told a lie. Yours was still the best. As you drive around the island, you'll see some incredible scenery. It's only a small landmass, so getting around is easy. Just watch out for the goats. My journey was in search of Agia Sophia, which is a tiny church that has been built in a remote cave. The drive there was pretty special. The passing views were spectacular, and because it's not a busy tourist destination, it was quiet and peaceful. The hard part is staying focused on the road and not stopping every few minutes to take photos.
You know, the wonderful thing about Kythira is quite often the journey is just as good as the destination. And whether you're walking or driving, have a look at this. It's just so special. I love this place.
If you weren't made aware of this hillside cave and what lay inside, you'd simply drive on by. It's hidden from view, which is perhaps why it's remained relatively intact for so long, and why people fleeing the tyranny of wars and occupation have used this as a hiding spot for centuries.
All right, Vangeli, we've walked 10 metres into the cave and I already see these beautiful icons. Can you tell me a bit about this?
Yeah, those icons are frescoes, so we have used fresco technique to keep them fresh. On the left here, we see an icon which we know that was painted in about 13th century. So we're talking about a very old icon. And on the left, we can see Saint Sophia, Agia Sophia, and her three daughters, Love, Hope, Faith.
Vangeli, how deep is this cave?
All right, so this cave goes in about 500 meters long, and we can visit only in about 220 of them.
Let's go and have a look.
All right, great.
Thank you. You got to watch your head here, obviously.
Yeah, of course, because, you know, the height of the cave becomes smaller and smaller as we enter each room. It's very, very slippery. You can give me your hand.
Thank you very much, Vangeli.
Yeah, because it's difficult. I know.
What do we have here? I know that's the 13th century church back there. What do we have here?
Here we have an earlier church. This is the church of Saint Sophia. This church was built in 1875 by some priests that used to live here. You can see an amazing thing that the church was built on the cave, so we can see the stalactites here.
Amazing.
This cave doesn't have only this church that probably most people know. So if you want, you can join me and I can show you something pretty magnificent.
Oh, please, let's go and have a look.
Right.
I'm loving this. What are you talking about? This is awesome.
Yeah, this is great.
I'm doing better uphill than downhill.
Yeah, of course, everyone does. Here, we have a room, it's called Nice Lake.
Yes.
And in this small lake, citizens of Milopotamos used to bring their kids here to baptize them.
And so they baptize them in this rock pool?
Yeah, of course, in this exact same spot, so that they could have the protection and the help of Saint Sophia.
Vangelis isn't an archaeologist. He's a passionate local guide that proved a wealth of knowledge. But I'm not sure what he meant by his earlier comment that frescoes were fresh. Maybe something was lost in translation.
Wow, Vangelis, this is a deep cave, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, it's a very deep cave.
Unbelievable.
All right, so please, Panagiotis.
Okay.
Mind your head.
Yes.
Here we have the cave's living room. We have the biggest room of the cave. And the fascinating thing about this room is that we can compare the young stalactites with the 4 million year old stalactite.
Unbelievable.
So this is absolutely unbelievable.
And we haven't even gone in 1/10 of the distance.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Probably, yeah.
Well, I've got to tell you, Vangelis, I'm getting a bit claustrophobic. Do you mind if we go now? Because it's getting...
Yeah, of course, of course. And the cave becomes more tight from this point on. So
let's go.
Let's go back.
Thank you, Vangelis.
I thank you.
It was a relief to get back outside and into the sun. After an hour of relative darkness, apart from the claustrophobia, I was starting to feel tired. I couldn't fathom what it would be like for the explorers who delved far deeper into the cave system. Speaking of exploring, next week I'm going to be doing plenty of exactly that. I'll be discovering more of the island paradise of my heritage, taking in places that I've never seen before and revisiting old haunts to see how things have changed over the years. From Kythira, I'm then making my way to one of the most photographed places in Greece, Zakynthos. It's the 3rd largest island in the Ionian and a place where the beauty of the beaches rivals any you'll come across in the Mediterranean and possibly the world. I'll also show you that there's a lot more to it than just the sun and sand. There's also a rich history and wild encounters to be had. Like most Greek islands, it never ceases to surprise. But now though, it's time to head back to Miozoid. There's one thing on my mind and that's dinner. I can still smell the Bumies cooked earlier, and there's no way I'm letting the crew eat it all before I get back. Before I left, they were circling like vultures, hovering around the kitchen with forks in hand. Thankfully, I had Captain Yanni on guard duty. Then again, he's probably the one I needed to watch the most.